Hi, my name is Drew Green, and I'm going to be taking the affirmative stance on the United States government incarcerating too many people. This proposition will be presented as a policy case in the affirmative stance supporting the claim that the United States government imprisons too many people. What is the problem? Overcrowding in prisons is the new norm. Since they were designed so long ago, they did not expect nearly as many inmates as they have in this current day and age, since too many people are being thrown into prison and incarcerated for actions that don't necessarily equal a prison sentence. According to an article published by The Economist in 2010, on average, federal prisons house 60% more inmates than they were originally designed for, making in-person living conditions an actual nightmare, and the price of guards and everything, the maintenance that has to go into it increases exponentially the more the United States government incarcerates people. Coming off the fact that there is an overflow of inmates, there's also great financial burden, as each prisoner costs up to nearly $50,000 a year per The Economist, not including costs of guards, medical staff, and security that has to fit for the additional amount of inmates. Then again, making it exponentially bigger. Second, people are in prison that because of something that they did so long ago, and it's no longer illegal. So why should they still be penalized for a crime that is no longer illegal, but they're still being held in prison for? Such as the marijuana scandal that just happened very recently in Virginia. How big is the problem? The problem is quite big because it is reliant on people's liberty and freedom designated by the government incarcerating more people than appropriate. To be precise, in 1,719 prisons, state prisons, 109 federal prisons, 1,772 juvenile correctional center facilities, and 80 Indian country jails, there are a combined approximate 2.5 million people incarcerated, and a good majority of the incarcerations were not given a fair trial. To make matters worse, the number goes up annually on average by 600,000. That means 600,000 new people pass through the prison gates, and in several cases do not deserve a sentence. What's the solution for this? First, the correct thing to do as a start would be to release every inmate who is in prison because they violated a law that has already been lifted. By doing this, it would solve a portion of the overcrowding in federal prison along with the local prisons. Therefore, the government and local legislations would be saving money by not having to take care of as many inmates and not having to hire as many guards as needed to take care of the people that are going to be back in the streets. This would require action by the court to allow everybody to have the right to a trial, which only 5% of criminal cases go to in the current date and time, according to The Economist. Next, use justified judgments when coming to the decision of whether you should or shouldn't throw somebody in prison. According to an article published by Time magazine, nearly 40% of all prisoners should not be in prison. Nearly 25% of all prisoners are there for non-violent, lower-level crimes that could have been solved or fixed with community service hours or probation. Lastly, set a reasonable incarceration timestamp for specific crimes committed. Will the solution work? The first solution will not only work, but will be beneficial all the way around, allowing the government to have more money, more community service throughout small towns, and the United States as a whole would allow the economy to grow because these new civilians are out on the street giving more money into the economy, feeding the economy. What are the advantages of the proposal? The advantages of this proposal include the government getting to save money. The government will not have to spend the approximate $50,000 a year to somebody who is innocent whilst in prison because they did not receive any sort of trial in order to prove their innocence. Some people stay in prison for years because they're not, like, when they're not even guilty. The United States government will not have to allocate extra money every year to guard security and care for the prisons, therefore saving an exuberant amount of money. What are the disadvantages of on balances, which outweighs? The advantages outweigh the disadvantages by a multitude because you can lock somebody up for the rest of their life without giving them a chance to redeem themselves through community service or work or any other program. Nobody can know if this was a good person locked up or not. Additionally, the financial benefit brought to the United States government is a massive advantage that can go undermined. That money can go towards more law enforcement, which could keep the laws from being broken in the first place, and keeping our community in the United States a safer and more welcoming community. Thank you so much.